This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, my name is Daniel. Today, me and Laila will do presentation on safety procedure, safety manual, and SOP. So we start with safety procedure. Safety procedure is a step and plan to perform work procedure. This procedure is used to deviate that can lead to any injury or accident. So strong knowledge is required uh, to ensure the procedure can save not just life but prevent injury towards any person in the surrounding. And then safety procedure will have a documentation, which is a legal requirement for all type of activity that involve worker in a workplace. This is discussed by OSHA. And then the multiple type of safety procedure. So each hazard will have its own safety procedure. And then a list of safety procedure, you may find that that common in an organization. Uh, hazard identification and risk, hazardous material storage and handling, emergency evacuation, safely working with electricity, fire safety procedure, housekeeping, workplace, workers orientation and training, access and egress, incident investigation and reporting. This is a very important procedure that must be implemented at every company. Okay. To develop the safe work procedure, firstly, all workers must be involved, and then every element of each task must be identified, associated with the risk, and then we identify the hazard and the risk of every activity, and then we will plan to control the risk after, when we execute the controlling the risk. We need to do some documentation that for work procedures, and then we distribute the safe work procedure to be reviewed. We implement proper safe work procedure, and then if necessary or needed, the worker must be trained to do their task safely. And then before execute any activity, the worker must demonstrate that they are capable to do the safe work procedure. And then after execute everything, we need to review the safe work procedures to ensure that it is effective at current state. Okay, this is a easy example, very simple safety procedure that can follow by anyone who read and understand. Okay, and then we go to safety manual. Safety manual is a document that designed to provide important information such as instruction, policies, and procedures that is designed the safe operation of any tools, machinery, or any type of equipment or substance. And then the objective of safety manual is we need to have a second of specific structure of instruction around the operation of the company, and so the employee can perform their job in a safely manner. This can be done by starting with three separate categories. The first one is general employee safety policy. This is the rules where everyone need to follow all the time. And then administration. Administration usually is a record keeping where all the reporting and documentation is covered on every activity. And then other than that, administration must provide manual that include OSHA inspection guideline, training and self-inspection, and other kind of possibility threat and hazards. Okay. The third category is safe work practices. This will include hazard communication, motor vehicle safety, PPE equipment, so equipment and activity. We try to, the company should create a safety culture for every activity. So the safety manual will compass any single document and any kind of information that is necessary for end user. Okay. So the important thing to include in safety manual is general health and safety policy. So this part is where company must have a specific safety goal for every kind of stakeholder. So this involves like every level of activity, every type of person that involved with the activity. And then there's going to be workplace hazard assessment. So OSHA requires to conduct inspection of all workplace and tasks that is executed, which is this will be determined. This is to determine if any hazard will present and require the use of PPE or any kind of prevention action towards safety culture. And then you need to have company rules. This is a policy that company must create. The policy will have rules that apply to all employees. So any kind of breaking the rules, workers should be punished or some kind of action must be taken. And then safer practices, the company must have some kind of the documentation of safe work practice that outline how people should perform a task, which is the purpose is to minimize risks that involve with the task. Okay, so this is example of safety manual. The left side is towards employee. They have purpose. Is properly pointed out. The scope is properly pointed out. Compensation insurance, responsibility, and important point. And then the right side, example of chemical safety manual. We have a safety plan. We have the orientation, safety in laboratory, and then group safety. So it is described in detail in the safety manual. Okay, and then we proceed with SOP, standard operating procedure. Standard operating procedure is set of written instruction that describe a step-by-step process that must be taken in every activity on daily routine. Standard SOP must provide policies, processes, and standard for organization in order for organization to succeed. And then SOP must describe both technical and fundamental for the operation activity. Okay, so the purpose of SOP is regularly okay. The detail of the SOP must be regularly recurring work process that is conducted or followed within an organization. And then SOP intended to assist to organization to maintain quality control and quality assurance, not just in terms of quality, but also any kind of any value added activity, uh, any value added activity is when necessary, and it is to ensure the organization is compliant with the governmental regulations. Okay, so why as why establishing SOP is necessary? SOP will result in efficiency, and in the long term, it will provide profitability and consistency and reliability of operation activity. Less error will result in every level of activity, and then it can be a way to resolve any conflicts inside organization. We will ensure healthy and safe environment, protection of employees in areas of potential of liability, a roadmap how to resolve a certain issues, and it can be used to troubleshoot that can result in solving any problem occur. Okay. SOP preparation. The first one is we in term of writing style. SOP must be written in a concise, step-by-step, and easy to read and understand format. And then the information must be presented clearly and not too complicated. This is to avoid any misunderstandings on the end user. And then it must be active voice and present verb must be used. The terms you must not be used. And then the document must not be too wordy or too long. And then follow the style guidelines used by the organization itself. Okay, second part, before writing the SOP, the author of the SOP must perform a risk assessment and all steps in the procedure to determine any kind of risk that can or potential hazard that arise during the processes. And then the important question in the SOP. So who is the one who perform what role? Who do each role? And what is the goal of the person's role? And what needs to happen? What anything that happen must be how can it can be explained clearly. Okay, how to write this SOP? I will let Laila to explain in the detail. Okay.
Okay, so for the next part is how to write the SOP. So the first one is you need to define the task goal and why it needs an SOP. And the second one is determine format for SOP, which is we need to decide what type of format we would like to use for the SOP. So there's some example. The first one is flowchart or workflow diagram, and then the simple steps, which is often written as a bullet or numbered list, including documents such as safety guidelines. And then the next one is hierarchical steps, which also written as a bullet or number list, but intended for procedures with many steps and decisions. And then the next step is identify the task dependency, which the task being recorded relies on other procedure within the organizations. And then the author should identify the dependencies and decide how to incorporate how to incorporate them into the new SOP, or if it would be better to add the new standard operating procedure into the existing one. And the next step is the author should identify their audience to determine how SOP should be written. And then once all these decisions have been made, the author can begin to write the SOP. And then the SOP form should include title page, table of contents, a step-by-step list of the procedure. And then once the draft has been written, it must be reviewed, edited, and tested multiple times. Okay, so this is the flow diagram for SOP preparation and implementation. So we're going to start with the new document or change in existing document needed, and then create a draft copy of document, and then solicit feedback from affected individual or group, which then will be agreed as a general. So if it's being agreed, so we create draft copy of change order and then submit for formal review and approval. And if the document being approved, then we process release of document, and then train affected individual and create training records. And the last one is on effective date of update update master and control procedure copies. And then if in case there is like no agreement and no approval, the document need to be revised until it been agreed and also been approved. Okay, now is why we change the term of SOP from standard operating procedure to safety operating procedure. So first, what we need to explain is what is safety operating procedure. So safety operating procedure are formulated to ensure safe production, and the operators must abide by the operating activity rules. It is a safety operation code formulated according to the production nature of the enterprise, the characteristics and technical requirements of machinery and equipment, and in combination with specific conditions and mass experience. Okay, and then next, SOP refer to the capitalization of the first letter, which is the standard operating procedure, which describe the standard operating steps and requirement of an event in a unified format for guiding and standardizing daily work. The essence of SOP is to quantify the details. So generally, SOP is to refine and quantify the key control point in the program. In the actual implementation process, the core of the SOP is that it conforms to the enterprise and can be implemented, not a mere formality. Okay, so here's the reason of changing standard operating procedure to safety operating procedure. So SOP are internal procedure designed to execute complex daily transactions within limited time and resources. So from the perspective of management, standard operating procedure can shorten the learning time spent by new recruits in the face of unskilled and complex affairs. As long as they follow the step instruction, they can avoid mistake and omission. The reasons for the establishment of safety of standard operating procedure usually include the following points, which is the standard operating procedure can save time because time is precious. But safety operating procedure shows more clear to normal workers. The workers will understand clearer to the safety requirements. So for example, we can see that the SOP is mainly presented in text report and in factory or construction site when the workers need significant sign, which is invisible from a long distance and easy to understand the safety process. So these are the example of SOP, which is quite similar with the process manual, where we have the purpose and then the scope, but in the SOP we have the responsibility and then the reference of all the legal or other kind of SOP that being referred, and then the definition in order for all the workers can understand the whole SOP. So this is also the example of safety operating procedure, which we have the title, like for example, the panel saw, which is located at the table or the cabinet. where the warning sign is do not use this machine unless a teacher has instructed you in its safe use and operation and has given permission. And there's also some other level and hazard. And then the pre-operational safety checks, operational safety checks, housekeeping, and potential hazards list. Okay, so in conclusion, safety procedures, safety manual, and SOP are very important to keep the safe working condition within an organization. Employer need to make sure that all employees involved in the process of making and understanding all safety procedure manual, and SOP in order to ensure that the safe working condition can be implemented successfully. So these are the
Okay.
list of reference we use. Thank you.
Mhm.